Hello, and welcome to our event today on driving conversion and retention with in-app comms technologies. Today's webinar is sponsored by Sendbird and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special event today. Now, before we get to today's great content, we do have a few housekeeping items that will help you get the most out of this session. First off, we want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in our questions box in the webinar control panel. Not only will we have team members monitoring that area and answering questions during the live event, but we'll also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation where we'll discuss in greater detail some of the top questions that you ask. And I should mention our presenter today is a great presenter and often likes to take questions right in the middle. So if you have a question that's relevant to what she's talking about, pop it in there and we may address it right then. A Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues that you might experience. A browser refresh is going to fix most audio, video, or slide advancement problems, but if that doesn't work, just let us know there in the Q&A and we will provide further technical assistance. Now next, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to a link for our sponsor, Sendbird. So there's a link there to get started with Sendbird, and you can find more about their platform. There's also some links to the Gorilla Guide Book Club, where you can get access to Actual Tech Media's great printed resources on technology topics, as well as a link to the ATM Event Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events. So I encourage you to access all those resources now and share them with your friends and your colleagues. Now, at the end of this webinar event, we will be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize. Official terms and conditions of that prize drawing can be found in the handout section. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll find the prize terms and conditions link there. Now, finally, one of the best benefits of this event is the opportunity to ask a question of our expert presenter, and to help encourage your questions, we have a special additional prize for you. That's another Amazon gift card, this one for $50 for the best question. So after the event is over, we'll look through all the questions that came in, pick out a great one, and contact that prize winner. So with all that business out of the way, let's get to today's fantastic content. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter today, Melissa Palmer. Melissa's a technologist and a content creator who specializes in many areas of data centers, cloud, and information security. She's a consultant. She's focused on solving some of the toughest problems IT environments face daily, including ransomware and security threats. But she's got great technical chops. For example, she's a VMware certified design expert. But I'm especially excited about the insights Melissa's going to bring today, because we're talking about product marketing, and she's run product marketing for major product lines at big technology companies. So her insights today are informed by real experience in the field. Melissa, always a delight to have you on. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I do have a very interesting background, a lot of really strong technology, but I have done a lot of marketing, because it seems like there's kind of a gap in many places where the intersection and technology meet. So part of what I do is try to bridge that gap, which is actually kind of a really nice tie-in to what we're going to talk about today, right? We're going to focus more on the marketing aspects of stuff that does have some interesting technology behind it. But the great thing is that anything we talk about today can pretty much be applied to any industry, right? Not just the tech industry, but any kind of product, whether it be a consumer product, business to business, whatever. We're going to kind of dive deeper into comms-led product growth and really how product teams can utilize new communications technologies to drive conversion and retention.
Sounds good, Melissa. I'm going to pop off here for a little bit, but
okay.
I will.
You'll be back. We've got some extra special stuff in store for everybody today.
All right.
All right. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to review some of the hottest new technologies out there and what people are using today and how to use them. We're going to talk about the power of community, which is something that is, I think, a real interesting topic that can be a differentiator for many organizations. That's going to tie into the following talk tracks of why we need to go beyond email, and then taking things to the next level with your own app to kind of help drive user engagement, conversion, and retention. So what technologies do we have out there in 2023, right? It's 2023 now. There's a lot of things out there, right? So there's live video streams like we're doing right here. There's large scale group chats. There's like Discord, Slack, anything really out there, right? And there's live events like this. Live. That's the thing, right? Everything is live. People want to come and see something instantly. They want to have that interaction. But there's a really important piece to all of this, no matter what video platform we're on, right? Because when we talk about social media, especially, which can be a great way to pick up customers, Instagram, TV, Facebook has lives, Twitter has lives, YouTube has lives, LinkedIn has lives. I think Pinterest is like the only one that doesn't have a live component, but all of these platforms now offer a live vehicle for people to engage. And in that live vehicle engagement, guess what? There's always a group chat, right? You can always, that's a popular thing. Drop a comment, let us know where you're from. And I see a lot of you doing that on the webinar already, like kind of getting in and saying, hey, welcome, I'm from wherever I'm from, right? So it's a really common thing is to get that video component with this large tail cat component at a live event. But there's one really important thing, no matter what industry that we're in, that we need to level set on and talk about before we go any further, and that is knowing who your audience is. And I find this can be an area that a lot of people don't stop to talk about. Persona work is key, but we need to know who we're marketing to before we can market effectively. And it might not be one group or demographic or, segment, right? We might have different groups of people that we're going to try to target, and we might target them in different ways. So doing that upfront work of deciding, hey, these are our customers. We think they're like this. We're going to target them is really important. But one thing that we're going to know is that as we go through the process and evolve, we might attract a completely different audience than we ever intended. I've seen that happen a lot. Like you think your audience is this person, but then you start going down the path of promotion and stuff like that, and you end up with a slightly different audience, which is great because then you can dive in deeper and kind of tailor your resources to that audience. And why we need to do this is we need to know that not every audience is everywhere. And this is especially true for social media, right? People use different types of social media in different ways, right? I'm going to give you an example. Pinterest, right, is a huge social media platform. It's actually more of a search engine than anything, where you go in and you look for topics and you pin them, right? A lot of times people go on there for home decorating ideas and recipes and things like that. And I'm a technologist, right? But I'll go on Pinterest and I'll go look at home decor and recipes. But I don't want to see technology there. And actually, Pinterest is not an effective platform to target people from a technology or kind of work-based area, right? People are going on there to relax and unwind. So if I decide that I have a new cloud security platform, I'm not going to target Pinterest. Instagram's another great example, which can go either way, actually. Sometimes people just go on Instagram for kind of mindless scrolling of pictures and videos. And sometimes you can find some audiences that are actually on Instagram and receptive to what you have to them. And we all know the Instagram Facebook relationship, right? Facebook bought Instagram, right? But surprisingly, Facebook still remains an excellent platform for marketing pretty much just about anything, which is surprising to me, right? That people will use Facebook for almost like work type purposes. But like I said, there's lots of different platforms. There's lots of different places to go. I've only mentioned a couple of them, but we need to know who we're targeting so we can figure out where they spend their time, so we can develop an effective strategy for where are we going to go find our audience so we can take them and get them in our platform instead.
Yeah, you've got some great points on here, and I just wanted to dig into some of this because this is so interesting. Like on the persona side, do you have any tips for how to develop those? Usually
it involves a lot of people with a workshop. That is the best way to do it, is get your team in a room and just start throwing out ideas, right? If you are, let's use the example of ransomware. I don't know why that just came top of mind because we talk a lot about ransomware here at Actual Tech Media, right? Ransomware, right? So if I'm marketing some kind of ransomware product, who are the people that are going to be interested, right? So the CEO is probably going to be interested, believe it or not, because you see ransomware on the news all the time. Yeah. If there's a CISO, they're going to be interested because it's a security thing. We're going to have administrators who are interested. We're going to have probably application owners who are interested because, hey, my application might get impacted by ransomware, but they might all spend their time in different places, right? I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think a lot of CEOs are going to be sitting there scrolling through Instagram when they're bored, right? They're Probably not. They probably have a lot to do. So that might be a case where social media might not be the best place to get them, right? Maybe it's, you know, an ad in an airport lounge or something like that if they're traveling a lot, right? So it's kind of knowing that person, knowing where they are, and you can actually kind of go and start doing market research behind a lot of these things. And there's a lot of firms out there that will do that too. Of like, okay, if I have the persona of an IT admin, where are they? How do they spend their time? And honestly, your organization can actually be a good kind of sounding board for that. So like, go sit with the IT admins where we're like, hey, like, what do you do? What do you browse? Do you like Reddit? Do you like Instagram? Do you like Pinterest? Do you like Facebook? Like, how do you guys kind of do things? So you can actually get a lot of information within your own organization of where these types of personas hang out and spend their time, so you can begin to attract them better.
And one other thing that you mentioned, you were talking about the, you know, Facebook being pretty good, you know, broadly. What about, or any other platforms, you know, if you had success with, like LinkedIn, for example, does that work for business communities or?
It does, but here's the interesting thing about LinkedIn, right? It's all about kind of time spent there. So business stuff, absolutely, but I almost would say approach both, because after 5 o'clock or after they're done working, people aren't on LinkedIn anymore, right? They're going to Facebook, they're going whatever. So then it's more of like a two-pronged approach. Like, you want to get people during the business day. Guess what? People are browsing Facebook on their phones these days too, probably while they're work. They're checking their Facebook, right? Like, it's not like, I remember, this had to be like 15 years ago. And like Facebook was blocked at work. Like, you couldn't check your Facebook, and everybody was so angry because like smartphones weren't really a thing there. And how would I check my Facebook? They blocked it, right? Like, it's just, social media is everywhere these days. LinkedIn is actually great for a lot of things. But again, it goes back to the product you're offering. In the case of ransomware, I would say, head to LinkedIn. But if we're talking more of some type of like consumer product, maybe not so much LinkedIn. That's maybe when you might want to lean on like a Facebook or Instagram, whatever. It really depends, again, on the product and the persona.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm going to back out again and let you keep going. Thanks.
All right. So let's see. We talked about personas. We need to know who we need to attract. And let's talk a little bit more about live video streams, which is kind of funny, because when I was putting these slides together, I never put two and two together and was like, I'm going to be on a live video stream talking about live video streams. But the truth is, these are readily available on every platform, all the major socials. Again, know your persona, so you pick the right platforms and engage the users. Drop something in the chat, ask them a question. Hey guys, do you have any questions? Hey, let us know where you're from in the chat so we can say hi, right? Keep it really engaging. Put things like QR codes and URLs in the chat on the stream to try to get people into your ecosystem from there, right? Because here's the big thing with socials, right? And when I say socials, I'm going to include Google in there too. Even if you're trying to get people to your product website. You don't own that journey necessarily. Yes, you can pay advertising dollars, et cetera, but at the end of the day, they could change their algorithms. They can do this, they can do that, right? You don't own I don't want to say own them. That's a really bad way to say it. You don't control the communication with them effectively until they're in your app on your platform, right? Once you've got them in your ecosystem, you don't have to worry about Facebook algorithm updates or Google updates or anything like that. The game kind of changes at that point. So a lot of this is showing them a great experience on whatever platform they're in, Facebook Live, Insta Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Spaces, whatever, and encouraging them through that to come to your ecosystem, right? So you have better ways to get to them directly without worrying about paying for advertising additionally and stuff like that. So live video streams are great. Large scale group chats are really popular too. Like, I feel like I might just say like I'm probably younger than I look, because things like Discord, like I can't handle. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to use Discord because I see it all over, right? In weird places, like join our Discord, and it's just basically like a big group chat room, like IRC or AOL chat rooms back in the day, right? So Discord, Slack, Telegram, a lot of products, companies, etc., have these groups where you can go. Somebody loves Discord. Maybe you could teach me, John. I'm glad you love Discord. I'm still getting used to it. But you go and you join these communities, and there's all these different channels, and you talk to people, and it's great. It's a great experience. And again, moderation here is key, because we don't want people to feel uncomfortable or doing things that won't be good for their experience. And you can combine this with streaming video too, right? Like watch us on YouTube, join our Discord, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, chat only events are actually really popular. Like, you can have events in this, right? There's all sorts of like bots and stuff you can add to these platforms and have events, like have trivia night on Discord, right? Like the whole reason I learned how to type, and this is going to date me now, you're going to know how old I am. The whole way I learned how to type fast was I was a big fan of the X-Files when it was out, and there was this X-Files trivia AOL chat room, and I wanted to play trivia, and I wasn't typing very well because I wasn't good at typing. I don't know. I was like, however old. So I got faster at typing because I wanted to play trivia games on AOL, like silly stuff like that, right? But trivia games, Ask Me Anythings are another really popular vehicle. You get an influencer or a popular person in this space to come on your platform and say, hey, for an hour, ask me any of your questions, I'll answer them. So large-scale group chats are another good way to get people comfortable with you and your brand, with the ultimate goal of we need to get them into our ecosystem. Live events, again, any kind of combination of these things can be a live event. The key is live, right? It could be a live video event. It could be a live chat event. Tweet ups can be really popular too, where people just kind of tweet things on Twitter and reply to them. And the cool thing is there's a lot of technology out there that allow you to like simulcast between multiple platforms. So you can do one video stream and blow it out to all the different social media platforms. So wherever your users might be more comfortable, right? If you say, okay, I know my users are on Facebook, on YouTube, right? I can broadcast to both of them, because not everybody is going to use every platform. Like we'll be able to make some generalizations when we start talking about things like the personas and stuff like that. But like I was talking to somebody the other day who was just like, I just don't use Facebook, period. It's not my thing, right? So if you want to get to them, you're going to have to use a different platform, even though their persona might fit the Facebook kind of group, right? So we want to kind of combine multiple platforms and do these as scheduled events, right? Like once a month commit to, you're going to do a live event or something like that, right? So people know to expect that, okay, on the third Tuesday of every month, we're going to have a webinar about communication or something like that. So that's something that is really effective too, is building out a calendar for consistency so people know that, okay, this brand is going to show up on this platform at this time. They come to expect it. So now I want to talk about the power of community, because this is a really cost-effective way to gain traction across these socials, is to build a fan base, build a community, and then you can get them into the Discords, the Telegrams, get them to all the joined chats. But we want to encourage interaction to do this. In my role in product marketing for a tech company, we had a very, very strong community. And we would get people to, like, it was a thing, like people wanted to join our community. It was at the point where it was application only. You had to apply and be accepted. And then they got all sorts of cool swag and prizes and giveaways. And one of the big things was like, you get to go talk to R&D and things like that, and access to products and things. And that was a big driver for a lot of people, right? It became this kind of exclusive thing about, hey, I want to be in this community, so I get access to this information. And that kind of spurred more, because then they would tweet about it, they would blog about it. And it's actually, when you break down the metrics, it's very, very cost effective, because these aren't employees that we're paying to evangelize our product, right? These are community people. These are regular people who really like our products, and we're, giving them some swag or or having a couple webinars, which is actually very, very low cost. And even if you're not ready for a full-fledged community, because I do actually talk to a lot of startups who think they're ready for the community path but aren't quite there, you can still share valuable info, right? With things like influencer briefings. Like my favorite thing to tell a startup to do is do a blogger briefing. Get on the socials, figure out who the people who blog in your space are, and invite them to a briefing about your product launch, right? Let's get some information out there. Let's encourage them. Let's kind of show them a two-way street. Let's get some really technical people on this call for them, so then they can really have direct access to the product teams. And then the hope is that they go and start talking about their experience and the product and how much they liked it and all that kind of stuff. And I have found that just to work really well, is to build a community around a product. And like naturally, you will see adoption start to grow, and you will see the community start to grow too. So here's the cool part, right? Once you kind of start having this community, you can really encourage people to interact on social channels and in social events, right? Say, hey, we're going to do a community tweet up. We're going to do a community this. And there's really like, I don't know how I feel about the term like influencer or influencer marketing, but it's something that's widely used in all industries at this point, right? You talk about the people with, 10 million Insta followers, they're an influencer, right? It's a common term these days. I don't know how I feel about it. But there's a couple of different categories of people that you can put in here, right? There's the people that are known influencers. I know she's got 10 million Instagram followers. I don't have 10 million Instagram followers. She's got 10 million Instagram followers. She's active in the space. Let's target her. By the way, people at that level of influencing probably aren't going to be free. You might need to pay them to get them to even think about coming to your event, which can be a drawback based on budget. But then you go look for what they call more up and coming people. There's a term now they call micro influencer, right? It's the people who are just getting started in a niche or a topic area, are really eager to learn, want to expand, want to do more, right? And it's kind of nice to target a range of people. Like, we don't want all these just like powerful, well-known people. Like, part of my thing with community has always been like, if you're out there and you want to learn more about this technology or this product, I want to support you. I'm not going to say, no, you're not big enough of an influencer, you can't join our club, right? I was never like that. I'm more like, hey, let's start working together. How can I help you, encourage you on becoming more of an influencer and stuff like that, right? A lot of it is giving some of these people the chance and the platform and the amplification, right? Because it goes both ways. You can also amplify them. That really helps. And when you start tracking social media metrics and things like that, you'll start seeing some of that, right? You kind of going a two-way street, the engagement with the influencer, and then people also being engaged with an organization, the organization helping to drive some of that engagement. Now, we have talked extensively about all these things which are going beyond email. I don't know about you, but even though I work for myself now, I still get a lot of email. Like, I have different accounts. Like, I have a work account for myself. I have personal accounts, and it's like, everybody wants you on your email list. And this was a really old school tactic of email marketing. And there's all kinds of things you can learn out there. But the trend today is really to start going beyond emails, because what we're seeing is some of people that are like kind of coming up, maybe don't spend as much time as on email, or people don't take email as seriously. And they don't take it as instant as it once was, right? I feel like, if just looking at the course of my career, before instant messaging was a thing in like the office environments, right? Microsoft Link, I think, was the first like corporate instant kind of thing out there, right? First one I used, at least. You would send an email and expect a little bit more of an instant reply, whereas now that's changed, right? Because there's all these communication tools. So now if I want an instant reply, I'm going to go hit someone on Slack or Teams or whatever. And email has become kind of like a lower priority thing. But the fact of the matter is, we need to be in front of everyone to drive product growth, right? In front of the people wherever and where they're active. Are there certain demographics that are going to be more active on email? Then yes, but we always want to also have a multi-channel strategy to try to drive that growth. And we actually have a really interesting question about what are some key notes to build or be a part of a strong, effective community. Sometimes there's distractions and off-topics discussions within the community. So I actually kind of like the off-topic discussions, because I think when you come in with a heavy-handed fist and be like, my community is about ransomware, you're only going to talk about ransomware, it doesn't feel as natural. It doesn't feel as human. So doing things like coffee chats where people can come talk about anything, or having like an off-topic discussion channel, go a long way for people in the community just to start building that human connection and starting to get to know each other a little more naturally. Now, when we say off topic, there's things that could be inappropriate for environments as well, which is why moderation is so important, right? Having people there moderating things to make sure that things don't go too far out of hand. Like, one discussion is like, okay, what's everybody having for dinner tonight? That's cool. But, there's other certain topics you might want to say, like, hey, we don't talk about things like that are divisive or can be, offensive and stuff like that. So usually some kind of terms of engagement, like, we don't talk about these topics and we need to keep it respectful, right? The big thing is making sure that everything stays respectful. So remember, email has limitations. Today's society, especially with some of the younger generation, is instant gratification. Everybody wants that instant dopamine hit from that notification, something popping up, whatever. And email is just no longer preferred for all generations. Like I said, a lot of the millennials, I think I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I'm technically a millennial. I think I'm like right on that cusp thing. Email is not necessarily preferred for everybody anymore, but you might still be working with people that like email. And it's personal too. Like I'm kind of making some generalizations based on age and demographics, but like some people really like email and some people just don't like social media. That's just how it is. People have different preferences.
Yeah. No, this is a great point. And it's funny, I did want to jump in on email just because, the other issue is you get so much spam now, and like everything that you sign up for, you have to put in an email address and then you're automatically on their marketing list. And it's just, it's really, you tend to ignore, 90% of the email that comes.
My new thing is if I download an app on my phone and it wants me to register for an account with an email, I immediately delete it. I'm like, I don't care what this app was going to do for me. I'm not interested in another account, another whatever. Yeah. And then you're right. Like I literally have like an email account that I know is just like the trash account that all the promotions go to, like all the the shopping stuff and whatever. Like I don't even really, I check it, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to give them that email because I know they're just going to send me, every day they're going to send me the sales or whatever. And I don't want to shop every day and stuff like that. But that's kind of like some basic stuff, right? And it is a lot of effort. This is going to sound silly. It's a lot of effort to go and change your email preferences and unsubscribe. Like I just have this Gmail Abyss account that just fills up with email. Like a lot of people just don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah. Hey, and getting back to Pooja's question about community building, you'd mentioned one thing about moderating, and I wanted to follow up on that. What did you find? Like, what did you guys do?
I have stories. I have stories that I'm not going to repeat, but there are stories because some people just don't know how to behave in a public setting. That's all I'm going to say.
I was going to ask a very specific question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, did you have to set it up so that every comment was pre-approved?
No, not at all.
Or no. And then, how quickly did you need to have people reviewing comments, to keep things from getting out of hand?
I haven't always it kind of depends. Sometimes when you're getting started, if you don't really know the crowd, you might want to start with having all comments being approved, right?
Yeah.
But that takes a lot of overhead. Yeah. So it's more of a kind of people go in and periodically check. But believe me, if there's a problem, you're going to know about it. The second someone posts something that's not good, everybody, a lot of things have features now where you can report a comment and stuff, which I think is great. Because people kind of can, I don't want to say self-police. I don't feel like that's the right word, but someone self-moderate things. Like if somebody posts a joke and 10 people are like, this is just not a joke. This is not cool. Right. There's a lot going on with those technologies too. So it really depends on the size of the community, how much you know about the people inside the community. It can go a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of tools out there that can kind of help you moderate and things like that, especially with the rise of AI, right? Automatically flag these words and things like that.
Right. One other thing I wanted to ask you about is, before this started, we were talking a little bit about, and you had a term for it. I was thinking guerrilla marketing, but if you have, if you're maybe you were in a company with big teams and different priority levels, and so sometimes you were trying to marketing things that were sort of lower on the totem pole.
That's putting it very kindly. Thank you.
But for smaller companies too, they may just not have much budget. So some of your experience might be helpful as well in terms
I had no budget. That was great. I had no budget. So it was a lot of me kind of camping on to existing campaigns or whatever, but webinars are just really simple to do. Even if you're a startup, right? You can have a Zoom webinar and that is so low lift and so simple. You need a subject matter expert to present, a couple people to handle comments and questions like that. Stuff like that is super low lift. So is a lot of streaming videos on these platforms. You will be surprised about how easy it is to get started. Are there tools out there that cost money that make life easier? Yes, but you can absolutely get started doing your own live stuff on any platform pretty much natively. It's low lift to get started. If you get to the point where you are seeing a return and you need to get some marketing dollars, yes, then you can kind of up the the production quality and stuff like that. But there's something to being authentic and real. There's nothing wrong with somebody from your company doing a Facebook Live with their iPhone, quite honestly. There's nothing wrong with that. People want to interact with authentic humans. So if you say, okay, I'm the marketing person, I'm going to start going live noon on Facebook just to chat about some feature in our product, there is nothing wrong with that at all to kind of get started.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
No problem. So like we said, email has some limitations and things like that. And the big thing is email is not instant, right? Again, we're in this society sometimes where we want instant. Email has kind of fallen by the wayside and is not as instant as it used to be. All right, so we talked a lot about social media, email, and stuff like that. And that's how we're acquiring potential customers, fans, whatever you want to call them. The trick is we want to get them on our platform in our apps because we don't want to be beholden to our blog posts ranking Google or Facebook's algorithms, right? Because it can get expensive advertising on these platforms, and algorithms can change. That can make it more expensive, can lower your reach and all that kind of stuff. So we want those people to get to know us. It's a good way to get in front of them, but ultimately we want to acquire them, whether we're using social, text messaging, ads, or even email, right? And we want them to download our app. We want to get them in our ecosystem, right? We want to convert them to customers, and they're not going to know that until they get to know us and our products a lot better. So when we get them in our app, then we can start doing really cool things, right? At this point, we own the experience. There's no algorithm changes to worry about. Instagram can't penalize us because we wore purple today. I don't know. I'm just making up reasons to get banned from Instagram because it seems like Instagram will ban you for no reason at all. But the big thing is at the end of the day, we need to truly get people into our ecosystem, into our platform, in order to convert them and to own that relationship and own that experience. So apps really take it to the next level, right? An app can provide the same benefits as social and then some, right? It can be real time, later time. You can completely mimic the social networks in your own app and have the same kind of feel that we all know and love. DMs, PMs, iMessage, SMS, right? That direct messaging capability, emojis, all that kind of stuff. It makes it easier to do moderation in the app, right? Because again, we own the experience. We can be as stringent as we would like with our terms of service and just completely not allow certain types of interactions or content, right? And then the more people start interacting with other people in the same ecosystem, the more we're going to start seeing an increase in conversions. And, once we acquire someone and get them into our ecosystem, this is hands down the best way to get people, right? How many times, I'm a sucker for it. I can tell you that. The push notifications on my phone from an app, that usually gets me. I actually have those turned on. It's an app I use, an app I like, a brand I like. I'll go look at that push notification. I'll give a silly example if anybody wants one. I'm feeling very sharing today. I have a couple pair of Yeezy, Adidas sneakers, and I bought them when it was really hard to buy them. And Adidas at one point made you go through their app only. The only way you could get a pair of Yeezys was to sign up for their app. You would get this push notification. Then you would sign up your intent that you wanted a pair of sneakers, and then you would get a push notification when they got live, and then you would have to try to log into the app and do it. And it worked. It worked so well. I remember just sitting there by my phone waiting for the notification to try to get those Yeezys or whatever. Oh, no, I got them. It was a whole thing, right? You can do a tremendous experience with the app. And this is a really good example because they started out on their website and then they kind of drove it to their app. I actually still have the notifications on. I don't really buy sneakers regularly anymore. But it'll say, hey, we have this coming out. Hey, this coming out. And, people are really interested by that. You break up the monotony of the day by something fun. That's going to go way farther for you than kind of any email or even anything directed on Instagram or Twitter, right? When you actually get in front of them and put that notification in front of them. And it helps retain users and creates loyalty. Like I said, I still haven't, the app is called Adidas Confirmed. I still haven't deleted that silly Adidas app because I thought it was so much fun. And you know what? Next time I need a pair of sneakers, I work from home. I don't wear a lot of sneakers anymore. I would probably go on my little Confirmed app and see what fun color combos of Adidas are out there, quite honestly. It worked really well. So this kind of process can be done, again, for almost any product, any demographic. And then one thing we want to think about, and this is where AI can really help us, is sentiment analysis, right? We can get data from when our users are engaging everywhere, whether it's email, it's socials. A lot of the social platforms have APIs where you can get data, but when you actually own the platform and own the relationship and own the conversation, you can do much deeper analytics. And we want to know the sentiment behind our users, right? Like, are our users happy? Or are our users like not liking the experience? It's all really important stuff. Like maybe we can make some kind of correlation of, okay, if our target demographic is moms, maybe by the end of the week, they're not so happy because they're tired from, working and the kids and everything all week long. So maybe we send them something happier on Thursday and Friday, and that changes their sentiment and thus kind of helps boost conversions and things like that. So AI is really nice because it'll kind of let us analyze our data, analyze the sentiment, analyze what people are saying, and kind of know all that kind of stuff too, which is really, really helpful. So what have we talked about today? All right. So we need to know and learn the new technologies to get in front of the right audiences. We also need to know the audiences and where they are. So this is where some persona work can go a long way. We like to build a community because it can be a really powerful tool. And we want to go beyond email, right? We want to use all those socials. We want to use everything we can beyond just email, because email is just kind of crowded these days. And at the end of the day, we want them in our app, in our ecosystem, so we can really start to drive growth and conversions and kind of be the shepherds of that relationship, right? We're in control at that point versus relying on, okay, well, does Instagram like me today? And is this going to come up in people's feeds, or are they not going to say it? Or if I want it in the Instagram feed, I'm going to have to pay more advertising dollars, right? So then we really kind of control that relationship a lot better. And that's where we can really start seeing things like conversion and brand loyalty kind of boost when we get them into our ecosystem. So I know I answered a bunch of questions as we were talking. And I think I got most of them.
Yeah, we have a couple more here. We've one here wondering about real-time comms is great for problem resolution, but what if a team member is not in the country and information is sent via WhatsApp? Where does data sovereignty start and stop? I assume that's like I guess that all depends.
That kind of all depends on the countries and the regulations and stuff like that. Very dependent on rules and regulations of that locality.
Yeah. And there's a follow-up question on enforcing security on APIs like WhatsApp for Business that techies are integrating into their alerting systems. It sounds it's all pretty specific. Did you guys use much sentiment analysis? Was it helpful? If you did?
No, but I think that it is very helpful. Again, even if it's just like I said, general sentiment of the users, right? And I think I hate to use the example of the pandemic, right? Like, but like I bet if
it's our common experience. Go for it.
Right. Dark comedy. But like, I bet if you went back and did any kind of sentiment analysis on just general social media interactions during the pandemic, I bet it was all really negative because everybody was having a hard time. Everybody was pretty much miserable, right? So that would have been, and people did this, brands did this. Brands totally marketed with the pandemic in mind, right? And you could come in and make someone forget about the pandemic for 10 minutes. Well, there you go. Brand loyalty. They're going to buy whatever you sell them if you can make them feel good again, right? So I do think sentiment analysis can be a huge benefit to almost any organization trying to figure out where people are struggling, what kind of the thing is, like beyond just user experience, like general day-to-day life. I notice my demographic, again, is IT administrators who have way too much work and are working nights and weekends, right? If I can send them some kind of interaction or push notification or funny cat picture to make them laugh while they're on call, again, that's going to go a long way for them.
Gotcha. Yep. Well, Melissa, I think we're gonna leave it there. Looks like you hit most of the questions, as you went, which was great. It just, thanks as always. This was a really informative presentation. Love the, your personal experience on so much of this stuff was really, really helpful. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And so our last piece of business today is the prize drawing. And just a quick reminder about the link to Sendbird in your handouts. They've got great tools for in-app interactions, and they can help you with a lot of the things that we've been talking about today, especially in-app interactions and sentiment analysis. So check that out. And before we wrap up, we have one more thing that is the Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of the $250 Amazon gift card today is Chris Blackett from Colorado. So congratulations to Chris. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Sendbird for making this event possible. And thanks as always for attending and for your great questions. That concludes today's event. Have a fantastic rest of your day.